Welcome to the November 7th episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. I'm going to try, with the help of Carson, to start producing just a few daily videos. This time frame, the next few days, is usually the best of the season. In fact, November 7th over the years has been my favorite day. I've killed more nice bucks on or around the 7th or seen more mature buck activity on that date than any other. So we're going to bring you an episode today, go through where we're sitting, why, what we see, and then hopefully if you like this format, I'll do more of it. It's kind of the old daily video blog style that we used at Midwest Whitetail a while back. So we're sitting in a blind, redneck blind, about 100 yards away from where we sat yesterday afternoon. We were down in the bedding area in front of the blind. And when I went in there to set that stand, Carson and I, we bumped 2 does and a buck. And I don't know how badly we spooked them, but the buck that we bumped was the one that I'm hunting. They were bedded right on the edge of the bedding area, and it was really windy. So I don't know that they really knew exactly what happened, but the buck was mostly just following the does. So as long as the does weren't too badly spooked, we should be okay. But this spot sets up better for today's wind. Otherwise we'd have gone back down in there. But like I said, we're only 100 yards away. We're only 50 yards from the fringe of the bedding area itself. Getting in here was a little bit tricky just because of how still it was this morning. We came up from the buildings and we rode these electric buggies up the hill road and then across the top of this ridge and then parked in the standing corn behind us. So hopefully we got in okay. We will transition now into hopefully the hunt mode, and I'll show you everything that we do today and how it plays out. Again, it's just more of a format of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what we're seeing. So hopefully you enjoy this.
Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail, Fuse Accessories, Elevate Tree Stands, B3 Releases and Broadheads, and Hoyt.
It's about 10 o'clock and we're gonna pack up and get out of the blind. We didn't see any deer. I do think that this food plot, if it creates value at all, it's only for squirrels and blue jays and chickadees. That's all we've been seeing. Squirrels coming in here and stealing corn. I need to get a pellet gun. But this spot, I'm sure will be good at some point. I do think that we're at that stage of the rut where the does aren't coming out very much. They're staying closer to the thick cover because they come out in the open and they get pestered by every buck that moves. So we got to come up with a plan for this afternoon, and with this southeast wind that they have forecast, there's not much on this farm that sets up for that. So I don't think any of it on this ridge that this buck lives on. He's living on a ridge to the best of my ability to figure out just one big long ridge. And the ridge lays kind of, east, southeast, and, northwest. And so our scent would just be blowing right along the ridge, and that's not going to work. So we've got to find something else for this afternoon. And we could get deer just moving around. I mean, they can move a little bit more randomly during this time. They may not stick to their normal range as much as they would, say, in late October. So we could get lucky even going to a spot where we don't expect there to be a shooter and then bump into a surprise buck. That's going to be our hope for this afternoon. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to pack up, and we'll see you back in the tree stand here in just a bit. For this afternoon's hunt, we're heading to the open gate. And this is on the clear other end of the farm. We've got the straight east wind, so we need to be on the west end of the farm. And the only spot we've got set up over on that side that sets up for the east wind is that open gate. And I did run out this morning after we got done hunting and checked a couple of cameras. And there's a buck, there's a 10-pointer that disappeared back in September that's kind of shown back up again. And he's a shooter. He's not maybe a super old deer, but he hasn't grown in the past 2 years. And when they stop growing, that's time to, to consider taking them. Sometimes they'll make a big jump, right before they die. But, if you get a buck that stops, his antlers stop getting bigger, he's probably not going to make big jumps, if you let him go. So I think he's fairly mature. He's been showing up on camera. And I had him in the valley up here, which is right below the open gate. Then I had him about a week ago or so in another spot up on top near the open gate. So there's some hope that that deer might come through. There's this old scruffy buck that I don't know if I'd shoot him or not yet, but the neighbor told me he's been hunting that deer for 4 years. He said he was already old when he started hunting him. So he figures he's at least 10 years old, and he's got a broken ear, a blind eye, and a tiny little rack. So he's no prize from that standpoint, but when you figure he's probably 10 years old, that's pretty cool. So he's up there a fair amount in that same area, and he would be one that I would decide, I guess, when the time came, whether I would shoot that deer. But we've got a couple possible targets, and we got a ways to go on the gravel road, and it's going to be a cold ride. So we're going to get rolling, and it's not bad overall. Medium light wind. I think it's probably 50 degrees, somewhere around there. So it's pretty comfortable for hunting, and the deer should be moving decent in these kind of conditions. Got 30 minutes left in my favorite day of the year, November 7th, annual bow hunt. And it's been a bit of a disappointment this year. I don't know why. I've given up trying to figure out why some days it can be really good and some days it just doesn't pan out when, I don't know. It's cool enough. It's a little breeze, which usually helps. And we're sitting in an area where the deer should be traveling through. It looks like a feeding area, but it's really not. It's more of just a travel area between a couple of doe bedding areas. We saw one small, I don't know if it was a 1.5 or a 2.5-year-old buck going, heading toward the bedding area out on that point. But like I said, some days it just makes you scratch your head. We've talked to a few people, and it doesn't seem like anybody around here is seeing much. My friend Jim Reiser did kill a really good buck in southern Indiana this morning. That was good to see. And beyond that, we haven't heard of anything. Ethan saw a small buck and some does this morning. He said Ben Sweeney saw a couple bucks, right?
Yeah, he saw 2 at like 9:30, and then
nothing after that. It was pretty slow the rest of the day. Yeah, so it's been slow everywhere here, which means that probably tomorrow will be a lot better. One thing I've noticed is during the rut, you never seem to have back-to-back really great days, and you don't seem to have back-to-back really slow days. It seems like it finds a way to kind of even its way out. But I just wanted to put this up for you guys, this video, and see if you like this format. I know it was a little bit of a disappointment from the standpoint of what we saw, but I just want to get some feedback to see if you want to see more of this daily kind of content, more often than once a week. It's easier for me to dive into the equipment I'm using and the strategies in more detail when we do these episodes more often. On the weekly, we have a lot of ground to cover, and I sometimes have to gloss over the details. So let me know in the comments if you want to see more of this. If you do, we'll continue to do them. If I don't get very good feedback, I'll just stick with, producing the Bowhunting Whitetails once a week, and then the Whitetail Watch on Wednesdays. So that's it. I wish I had more to offer. We're going to continue to sit here for the next 30 minutes. If anything good shows up or anything at all, we're going to show it to you here at the end. But we appreciate you joining us, and that train is loud on that east wind. That train is probably 5 miles away, 4 miles away. It's amazing how that sound carries. But like I said, we appreciate you joining us here on Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. We'll see you right back here again, maybe very soon. And remember to always dream big. I'll let him say it this time.